But right now, it is time for our review of what went down in Darwin last night, where Gold Coast Suns won by 64 points. They kicked 26 goals. It's the highest score they've ever kicked. It's the highest score conceded against Chris Scott ever. It was the highest score at the ground. It was the most disposals at the ground. Humphrey kicked a career best 5 goals. It's the third time Lukosius has kicked 5 on this ground. And Geelong's percentage went from 124 to 112, and Gold Coast added 7%. Make some sense of that for me, can you, Kingy?
Well, you've been on Geelong's bandwagon
I have.
all year. Are you wobbly today?
I'm a bit. The confidence has been dented after not just last night, but the week before as well.
It was a stoppage mauling last night.
They got smashed. Their midfield is just diabolical.
Their midfield is vulnerable. I'll give you that.
I'd say diabolical at the moment.
Diabolical, yeah. Well, we talked about in the pre-game on Fox last night about the fact that they don't really generate scores, their midfield. Their half forwards do all the damage.
Yep.
Their midfield don't. So if you can clamp or find a way to slow down the Geelong ball movement, you can get them. I think what it does to me is, I'm not going too far with Geelong, because it highlights to me that when you don't have 2, 3, 4 senior players in your lineup at the same time, this is what you look like. So no Cameron, massive impact. No Mitch Duncan, huge impact. Everyone's talked about Tom Hawkins, but when he's not there, it just looks different. And it doesn't look as organised. And I think sometimes those senior players, it's not even a word, it's just a look. Hey, come on, just a head nod, or to get an elevated effort out of some of those around the edges. So I just thought that was pretty strong. De Koning not there down back. Their back six looked rudderless. I've never seen them cough up as many goals 0 to 30. I only really look at goals 0 to 30. And prior to last night's game, the most that they'd given up 0 to 30 for the year was 6. They gave up 13 last night. 0 to 30. So 0 to 30 is where Geelong have always defended, and they've always defended corridors. So you can kick goals against Geelong, but you've got to convert from wide, and you've got to, sometimes we're doing that sort of dirty ball entry, kicking along the ground so they weren't intercept mark, and now there's a plan against Tom Stewart that everyone's using. So it's a tough life without your senior players, but they're building for the back half of the year.
Yeah, so that is what I want to ask you about. So, and I've been complimentary of the way that they've rested and taken a full squad approach, but that's all well and good if you can get yourself in a position to finish top 4, because they're not winning it outside the top 4, and you've got to win enough games to qualify to get there. Is the strategy around resting the players, which they have often done and did last night, even though Cameron was concussed, and they still opted to rest Hawkins and they still opted to rest Duncan, will that be changed, considering there's no point in doing it if you're not going to qualify for top 4? So do they have to go for a period of time where they just pick their best 22? Forget resting. They don't have that luxury now. They've dropped 3 in a row. We've seen Gold Coast put 26 goals on them. Yep. Is that a strategy that they will now doubt themselves with and go, hang on, we've got to get back on track here. We need to start winning and stringing games together. We can't afford to be resting our best players.
I like the resting personally.
Yeah, I did too, until you're not going to finish top 4 or even top 8.
No, I still think they'll finish top 8 on what we've seen, on the evidence we've seen so far. And I do think if you can pick your poison, like Carlton have got a stack of injuries at the moment and are pushing on, pushing through, and they'll tax the guys that are playing every week, because they're going to ask a lot of those senior players. Or do you prefer the Geelong model of saying, you know what, we might qualify 7th or 8th, but we'll be healthy and we'll come charging. Now, you can't control injuries, you can't control the back half of the year, but I in isolation, I don't mind the decision.
This is our review of the game last night for the Drain Man. Drain problems, call the experts the Drain Man. What about Tom Stewart didn't take a mark last night?
Yeah.
For the third time in his career, he didn't take 156 games, only the third time he hasn't taken a mark. And I think the previous 2, he was injured early. So he has to expect, it just frustrates me that teams don't come after the opposition's best players.
Yeah.
And now there's a model to do it. It was long last night. Thought he competed well. Yep, the conditions helped. But they got to sort this out.
Well, it was McEntee last week, and we said this. Yeah, I know you're a watcher of First Crack. We said this, that this will be Tom Stewart's lot now for the back half of the year.
Yeah,
because
I think I did that on Sunday.
Yeah. Sure he did. So I think that they have to adjust. Now, he was still very good. He still had 13 intercepts, but it's not the intercept mark, and it's not the support that he's able to give his fellow backmen around him. Like if he's getting checked and blocked, like Ben Long did, he stood in behind him. He dragged him deeper than he wanted to be. So I know that people they rally against these sort of discussions. Oh, there's a template to beat us. The template's been there for 20 years. All that sort of stuff. But I think if you can, you're stopping the influence of Stewart. He's a very good player. He's still going to have a patch where he impacts the game. But teams are doing it now. The other concern for Geelong is their ball movement out of the back half. So they had 56 opportunities to bring the ball out of their defensive half, and they scored 3 times. 3 times
versus what Gold Coast did. Have you got get those numbers up?
Of course, I've got that.
Yeah, and the way that
package here, unlike your
particularly
stuff.
early with Gold Coast, the build up at 33 marks they took in the first quarter.
8 goals, 5
from the back half.
Yeah, from the back half. So mine was from intercept. So from intercept, it was 7 goals, 4. So it's, the intercept disposals are the one that I really look at when the game's in motion. That's where Geelong have always been brilliant. So I think Chris got to be coming back thinking, okay, is this just a performance we put a line through? We're playing in Darwin, different conditions. We've got a few players out. We couldn't move the ball. We couldn't win the ball. We couldn't win it back. We couldn't stop them scoring. Well, do you just say, you know what? There's so much wrong with this game. We're not even going to review this game. We're charging forward. Forget that game. I'm going to trust that you guys have collectively had a stinker, and we move on.
I just wonder though, on the back of last week where Port Adelaide put 50 on them in a quarter, whether they can afford to do that or whether that would just be risky to do that. Now, that has a little bit been, I think, Geelong's mature model around it. Okay, you guys can sort that out and we'll move on, and we have to move on quickly and we'll get some quality back and some experience back. But even sort of Damien Hardwick speaking before the game. In fact, let's have a listen to Damien Hardwick pre-game on how you beat Geelong. Everyone is seeing with Geelong. You match them there, match them from the midfield.
That's not revolutionary though, is it?
No, I know, but that's an admission that the opposition are seeing Geelong as vulnerable in that space, I reckon. Which they are now.
They are, yeah. Look, I think their biggest
Who's
problem...
their best midfielder?
Well, their biggest problems is Dangerfield's on the sidelines. That's the problem. And he's not going to play forever.
And he's 34, and he's done 3 soft tissue injuries in short time.
So I guess this is my point, isn't it? That when you take those senior core players out and you expose those lesser ranked players, the younger players, to the bright lights of being able to win your own ball and be effective. So at halftime, the score involvements, I'm big on the score involvements. So their midfield, Bowes, Guthrie, Bruin, and Parfitt, had 4 score involvements between them. And the other mob, Anderson, Rao, Miller, and Swallow, 21. And it would be the same at the end of the game. I haven't updated those numbers, but you could see the damage that Anderson was putting on the game. You could see what Rao was doing when the ball was in dispute. And Miller is just able to ride shotgun on the edges of and not have to be the absolute man anymore. So it was brilliant to see. The game of Anderson, you really have to just – what a player.
Sure.
What a player. Inside, outside, finish,
Is he
class.
Is he better than Rankin? I might have to add. He wasn't in my 23 players better than Rankin.
You can have him better than Rankin if you like.
Might have to add him.
Well, you've put a bit of feedback to Matty Rowell over the journey. He's only played 70-odd games of footy. How did you find him last night?
I thought he was excellent.
Have you reassessed and reevaluated what he is?
No, I think you've...
I can bring up articles you've written.
I think you've massaged my words with Matt Rowell. I wanted him to get some easier ball to protect himself and to be more damaging.
You're so caring.
No, he had 12 handballs before he had a kick last night. I thought the longer the game went on, I thought he started to really expose Geelong, and some of his ball use was excellent. A couple of kicks inside forward 50, one on the left, one on the right. So no, I can't fault his game. I had him as the second best player on the ground.
He'd only had, so in his 70-odd games, he'd only had 30-plus 3 times. So that's the 4th time that he's had 30-plus. When he gets 29-plus, so he's done that 5 times, I think he gets the Brownlow votes every time. So this is what he is. I think that Damien Hardwick's impact on Rowell and Anderson in particular is going to open up more opportunities to become scoring midfielders. So I had a look last night. So Raul had gone 6 goals in his first 5 games. He missed the rest of the year after that. 2 goals, 7 goals. And so far this year, he's kicked 6 goals. So he's going to be a complete offensive package. And Anderson's the same. 4 goals, 11 goals, 14 goals he's kicked across the seasons. And then 9 so far this year. So that's a weapon they haven't had. So if people are looking for comparisons to the Stewie Jew model versus the Damien Hardwick model, this is a more aggressive ball movement pattern. I do think those conditions clearly help their ground ball game up in Darwin, and it makes you wonder whether they're better off playing 4 games a year rather than 2.
They won their last 6.
They won their last 6, and they're 6-4 now. So are they in for the finals?
100%. Their draw is very favourable.
You on board now? You've been a critic.
No, I wrote an article about them 3 weeks ago. We discussed it. It's like they're coming. They're
been giving it to them for 2 years.
Yeah, and rightly so. What have they done?
Build
to this point.
Building.
Yeah, well, it's not hard to build when you're given what they've been given. Of course, they're building. Have you seen the talent that is? Have you seen the talent that is in Humphrey? They've just found another one. They found him. He's been around for a little bit, but what he did last night,
my God,
finally got Lukosius playing in the position that he should be playing, as we discussed last week when I put him in the game. Again, it's not. But no, they shouldn't miss finals from here. They got West Coast again. They got North again. They got Richmond again. They've got a very favourable draw.
So they've never been 6 wins after 10 weeks. They've been 3 and 4 at the most. So this is a different model, and this is why you go after Damien Hardwick, and this is why it's going to be an outrageous success.
Do you think this would have been the result regardless of, if Stewie Jew was still there?
But no, it wouldn't look the same. No, it looks different to me. When you get the spread of contributors like you get last night, Ben King's 4 goals weren't the 4 goals of a keeper. He kicks 4.
He'd hardly touched the footy until half time.
Sam Day. Sometimes I think Sam Day really is he come back into this? Sam Day. He kicks 3, and you go, that's actually not bad. Contributed. We talk a lot about Lukosius. He gets more feedback than anyone. But he's able to play that sort of third tall forward role, never really in the crunch moments, but always able to hit the scoreboard, particularly in Darwin. I think he's kicked 5 in his last 3 games up there. So, no, I think it's a totally different model that allows for more players to contribute.
And he's still rested. What's he doing resting Wits? Put them to the sword. Rested Wits, Walter had a rest, Rogers had a rest, Holman had a rest. So, it is frightening. And don't worry, if you're a team like whoever that is in the middle of the pack, this is going to be a concern for a long time.
I know we're talking about this year and finals and those sorts of things. It's an important marker, definitely. But what about the long term? How far off do you see the premiership opportunity? Can you see it now?
12 months, yeah, 100%. It's a warning for the AFL, for the rest of the competition. Be careful what you wish for, because this team's going to be around for a long time.
You've been late to the party on this.
No.
You have.
What do you mean? They've been late to the party.
Well, you bashed me last year for being a Suns advocate.
You said they're going to be in the premiership window this year.
No, I said that
last year you said they were going to be in the premiership frame this year.
I said they'll make giant strides this year and they'll win a flag within 2 years.
Frame this year. So they have to win a flag next year.
2 years.
For you to be, so is that next year? I just want on the record.
Mine's.
So they have to win a premiership next year?
No.
That's what you said. You said they'll win a premiership in 2 years.
You're taking timelines off me. What I said
That's what I'm asking. Clarify.
Well, let me answer you. I said that they would take giant strides this year and play finals and win a flag within 2.
So when's
what's
year?
That? 25's next year. 20. I reckon they'll win one. Give me 2026.
You've given yourself another 12 months.
No, I haven't. I've been telling the record. I'd say it with you every 3 weeks when you're saying they're no good. They can't play.
Is the no dig, no drama? My man Stewie, I didn't ever said he has to go. No drama way to rehabilitate your assets.
You need to re-listen to
the
what
drain
you've said.
Man. Well, they have been criticised, and rightly so, to this point.
Digi's upstairs. The Digis are here. They will pull up some of those articles that you're part of.
They're about to reveal the 23 players better than Izak Rankine. We'll do that next. So you've been big on Izak Rankine this week.
Geordie's nodding.
It's you've copped a lot of heat on social media. I've been dragged into your commentary around Izak. There's a couple of people have tagged me in the tweets that tell Kingy to pull his head in.
But why? But why? What are we pulling our head in about?
No, it's just
Isaac
passion.
Rankine,
It's passion. It's
I think-
opinion. It's what we love.
So let me mount my case first before you strip
No, I've
me.
heard it all week. You've mounted it a
All
couple
right.
of times.
Well, give me your 23 that are better then.
So just on. So where is he? Where is he sitting?
Where's who?
Rankin? Is it
At the moment?
Will he be 1 in 4 weeks, or will it be top 3?
You've heard it all week. What do I need to repeat it
So
again for?
because you've sort of changed a little bit. I've heard best. I've heard top 5. I've heard top
If
3.
you've got 23 better, he'll be in the top 25.
Different platforms. You've sort of reheated some soup with that,
Oh, you're stealing my lines now because you and
with
Cara
that
are upset.
opinion. So let's go through the 23 players better than Isaac Rankine. Nick Dacos.
I mentioned Nick, multiple times.
Yeah, I'm just giving you the 23. Marcus Bontempelli.
Yep.
Errol Goulden.
Nope.
Isaac Rankine better than Errol Goulden.
You want me to?
No,
an answer from this one?
I'm just going to give you my list, and then you can respond. Errol Goulden.
In 4 weeks' time, on this current season is what we're talking about.
Yep.
Yep. Not lifetime, not
No,
historical.
this current
last
season
year's
in
Brownlow
4
medal
weeks'
or-
time, a lot of
2 years ago's Brownlow or
lot of
something.
qualifiers on this opinion of yours. Isaac Heaney,
You're the one naming 23.
Chad Warner, Nick Blakey.
Chad Warner's not in Isaac's
Range
range
hang on,
just
you
yet.
can speak after I've given you my
Sorry.
23.
Well, they're wildly
Nick Blakey, the Lizard.
Nick Blakey.
Yep. Nick Larkey, Toby Green.
This year's Toby Green.
Well,
You've been
he's
watching
just the best-
GWS?
he's just- yeah, well, he's
Have you seen them
You're
this year?
allowed to be out of form.
Not for
He's a
7
better
weeks and
player.
be considered in the top 20.
Toby Green is a better player than Isaac Rankine.
There's no way on 2024's comparison that Toby Green's in front of Isaac Rankine.
but
Absolutely no way.
No, they're 100. He's 100% a better footballer than Isaac Rankine. That's what you're saying. He's going to be the best footballer in 4 weeks.
On the 2024 season, you cannot put Toby Green next to Isaac Rankine.
hun-
No way.
He's a better player. Rankine might be in better form.
That's what we're
But-
talking about.
So we're talking form now, not the best player in the comp.
You just went through the rules. You can't use historical data. Toby
I-
Green.
my opinion is that Toby Green is a better player than Isaac Rankine. Is that okay or not?
Well, not if you're going to do the top 23 that are in front of Isaac. That's a different
He's a
discussion
better
altogether.
player.
He's of course he is. He's an All-Australian captain.
Yeah.
But not on
Isn't that-
2024's
Isn't that
form.
your point? That
No.
he's going to be the best player in the game in 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, he'll be better than
Well, I'm arguing that Toby Green is a better
but
player.
for the season, not for lifetime.
No, just who I would take as a better player. I would take Toby Green over Isaac Rankine.
Not on 2024.
But I would, and in 4 weeks,
This is
in 4 weeks,
this is degenerating into a nonsense
in
discussion.
4 weeks, I'm suggesting that Toby Green,
All
I'd
right.
still rather
Here
have
we
than
go.
Isaac Rankine.
All right, Green versus Rankin. We'll revisit it in 4 weeks.
Yep, Sam Taylor, Charlie Curnow, Patrick Cripps, Sam Walsh, Jacob Wiedering, Connor Rosie, Zach Butters, Tom Stewart, Jeremy Cameron, Christian Petrarca, Max Gawn, Lockie Neal, Zach Merritt, and he's not even the best player at Adelaide. I'd still take Jordan Dawson ahead of Isaac Rankine. There are the 23 players better than Isaac Rankine. Kingy, you can have a response if you like. Or not.
It's just a matter of opinion. I think you're wildly inaccurate with Toby Green. I think he's a better player than Jordan Dawson.
Toby Green.
Jordan Dawson is having a poorer season than Isaac Rankine. And Isaac Rankine is playing 25% midfield. Wait till it goes to 50-50 or 70-30 and look out. Look out.
0433 98 11 16, no doubt our...
Let yourself down with Toby Green, I think.
Toby Green. No, that's not the one I would have thought you would have pulled me up on.
No, it's definitely the one.
That's the out of all those 23,
Well, he's
that's
the highest
one.
I'm not going to muck around with the ones that are around the edges. That's just a matter of opinion. But Toby Green was All-Australian captain last year, and he isn't that
Do you
player
know who
right
else? Do you know who else I thought about having? I thought about having Kyle Langford, and I thought about having Dan Houston, but I didn't. I didn't go there.
now. Dan Houston.
No, I didn't go there.
My
I
God.
thought about it. I
Yeah.
didn't include him.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
time
glad-
for the
I'm
dig.
sorta glad you didn't.
As we're having a dig at Kingy Lodge, a free inquiry online.
Sarong would be in front of Dawson, like the texter Scotty is telling you.
I think Dawson gets more damaging possessions than.
Oh.
It's just a little one for me. Just a quick little, just little one. I'm just going to put Isaac Quaynor in.